What would you do if you walked into a coffee shop for a blind date, expecting just one person, only to find not just him, but five little faces peeking at you from behind his chair? This is the story of Jason Thompson, a single father whose entire life changed one afternoon when he met Michael Rodriguez, a Navy SEAL with five children and a heart bigger than anyone could have imagined. Jason had been raising his daughter Emma alone in Norfolk, Virginia for 6 years. Emma, now 9, was bright-eyed, creative, and a little too mature for her age. She had watched her father juggle freelance graphic design jobs, manage bills, and still try to smile for her sake after her other father, David, left them behind to pursue his career in New York. Memorial Day weekend brought unexpected change when Jason's best friend Kevin practically forced him into trying a blind date. "Come on, man, you deserve to laugh again. You deserve someone," Kevin insisted while they shared lunch near the naval base where he worked. Reluctantly, Jason agreed. On that rainy Saturday morning, Jason walked into the Blue Anchor Cafe, nervous and half regretting it already. He spotted him immediately, Michael. He wasn't what Jason expected. Strong posture, a warmth in his eyes, and an air of someone who had weathered storms but still stood tall. Then Jason noticed something else. 5 kids. 2 boys tugged at each other's sleeves. A teenager tried to keep them calm. The 2 youngest girls whispered and giggled behind their dad's chair. Jason froze. He almost turned around and walked out. Was this some kind of cruel joke? Michael caught his eyes, read his hesitation instantly, and smiled apologetically. "I know this isn't normal," he said softly, "because it's Memorial Day weekend. My usual sitter went home to family. They're part of who I am. If you're here to meet me, you're meeting all of us." Something about the honesty in Michael's voice made Jason sit down instead of running away. The beginning was awkward. The kids were noisy, curious, even a little mischievous. Jason stumbled over his words while Michael tried to keep the little ones from spilling juice on the table. But then Emma arrived late from her art class at Norfolk Arts Center, and everything shifted. Michael's children welcomed Emma like she was one of them. They started laughing, showing her drawings, and for the first time in months, Jason saw his daughter laugh without the shadow of sadness that had lingered since David missed her piano recital. If you've ever felt that life sometimes gives us exactly what we need in the most unexpected packages, give this video a thumbs up. Follow our Heart Stories channel for more real journeys of love and family that defy expectations. Sometimes the most beautiful beginnings look nothing like what we planned. They're even better. The Blue Anchor Cafe grew quieter as Jason studied the faces around Michael's table. Each child had a story written in their expressions. Tyler, 15, sat with protective posture. His eyes narrowed with suspicion toward this stranger entering their world. The twins Sophie and Sam, 12, couldn't have been more different. Sam focused intensely on his sports magazine, while Sophie quietly sketched complex patterns that hinted at her scientific mind. 8-year-old Olivia clutched a worn photo keychain, her fingers tracing the face of a man Jason would later learn was Miguel, her father who never came home from Afghanistan. And little Max, just 6, bounced with unfiltered energy. The first to slide over and make room for Emma, Jason noticed sideways glances from other patrons. A middle-aged couple whispered, their disapproval barely concealed. The barista, however, smiled warmly while bringing extra napkins without being asked. Norfolk had its contradictions. A military town with both traditional values and the diversity that comes with global service members. "It's Memorial Day weekend," Michael explained softly while the children chatted. "This time of year is always." His voice trailed off, but his eyes finished the sentence. Loss, remembrance. Moving forward despite everything, Emma, usually reserved around strangers since David's departure, surprised Jason by immediately joining Sophie's drawing session. "That looks like mitochondria," Emma observed, her voice animated. "My science teacher says they're the powerhouse of the cell." Sophie's face lit up. "You like science too. Nobody else gets excited about cellular biology." While the girls bonded, Jason learned fragments of Michael's story, 14 years as a SEAL, Purple Heart recipient, 4 years a widower after losing Miguel to an IED, 5 children who had already faced more loss than many adults. Miguel and I always wanted a big family. Michael shared, "We adopted Tyler during Miguel's first deployment. The twins came later. Miguel's sister couldn't care for them after her divorce. Olivia and Max are Miguel's biological children from a previous relationship." As the afternoon stretched on, Emma's laughter rang genuine for the first time in months. Since the day David had chosen a career opportunity over his daughter's piano recital, Emma's smile had carried a weight. Here, surrounded by this instant family, that weight seemed momentarily lifted. Walking home later, Jason battled conflicting emotions. His logical mind listed reasons to run: financial strain, emotional complexity, society's judgment. Yet his heart kept returning to the way Emma had looked in that cafe. Belonging. "Dad, I like them," Emma whispered that night during their bedtime ritual. "Can we see them again?" Max said they go to Norfolk Children's Museum every other Sunday. Yeah, Jason kissed her forehead, knowing this wasn't just about him anymore. Sometimes life's most important doors are the ones that terrify us to walk through. Yet behind them might wait the very healing our hearts have been searching for, even when it comes wrapped in chaos, noise, and unexpected packages of love. Life rarely delivers blessings in the ways we anticipate. The courage to recognize them when they arrive differently than expected might be our greatest strength. The weeks following their cafe meeting unfolded in a whirlwind of park visits, museum explorations, and Little League games. Michael and Jason navigated their growing connection amidst the beautiful chaos of 7 personalities blending together. Fort Monroe provided the backdrop for their 4th of July picnic, where the children chased fireflies while Jason and Michael shared deeper truths under a sky exploding with color. Michael revealed scars both visible and hidden. His combat experiences with SEAL Team 6 had left marks that sometimes woke him in the night. The loss of Miguel had been a public tragedy, a decorated soldier whose sacrifice made national news, yet a private devastation that Michael still carried. The military provided structure when everything else crumbled, Michael confessed, watching the fireworks reflect in the harbor water. "But raising 5 children while serving has been the hardest deployment of my life." Jason understood struggle differently. His battle had been quieter, rebuilding after David walked away, protecting Emma from feeling abandoned, stretching his graphic design income to maintain their modest home. "I worry constantly about money," Jason admitted. "College funds for 6 kids, medical care, a house big enough for everyone. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by my responsibility to Emma alone." Their budding relationship faced external pressures too. Michael's SEAL teammates embraced Jason with surprising warmth, inviting the blended family to barbecues and offering childcare during dates. Yet at Sam's baseball game, Jason overheard mothers whispering about confusing the children and unstable households. Emma's grandmother, David's mother, called repeatedly with thinly veiled concerns about her granddaughter's unconventional living situation. The first significant test came when Michael received emergency deployment orders on Emma's birthday. "I can't control these assignments," Michael explained to a visibly disappointed Jason. "I'm still a soldier when duty calls, even though I'm a father every day." Jason struggled with mixed emotions, understanding intellectually but hurting nonetheless. "How can we build anything stable with such uncertainty?" he asked, instantly regretting the words when he saw pain flash across Michael's face. That night, alone in his apartment, Jason confronted hard truths. He wasn't just dating Michael, he was entering a relationship with the military, with grief, with 5 children carrying their own wounds. Was he strong enough? Was this fair to Emma? The situation complicated further when David unexpectedly appeared at Emma's school concert, the first parental interest he'd shown in months. Afterward, he confronted Jason in the parking lot. "I hear you're involving our daughter with some military guy and his entire orphanage," David said coldly. "My lawyer will be interested to discuss custody arrangements." Jason drove home shaking, fear and anger competing in his chest. He'd spent years protecting the fragile world he built for Emma. Now everything felt threatened. both by opening their hearts to Michael's family and by David's sudden reappearance. Later that night, Emma found Jason staring at old photo albums. "Dad, are you okay?" she asked, curling beside him on the couch. "I know it's complicated," she said with that wisdom beyond her years. "But when I'm with Michael's kids, I don't feel so alone anymore. Sometimes love requires crossing turbulent waters to reach new shores. The most meaningful journeys rarely follow straight, untroubled paths." The crisp autumn afternoon at Norfolk High's soccer field changed everything. Tyler, determined to impress college scouts, executed a perfect bicycle kick that sent him crashing hard against another player. The sickening sound of impact silenced the cheering crowd. Jason, attending without Michael, who was away on a training mission, found himself sprinting across the field toward the crumpled form of a boy who wasn't technically his responsibility. Hours melted into a hospital vigil. Concussion, fractured collarbone, medical forms requiring parental signatures that Jason couldn't provide. Frantic calls to Michael went straight to voicemail, communications blackout during specialized training. The hospital administrator eyed Jason skeptically. "You're not family," she stated flatly. "We need a legal guardian." Just as desperation peaked, Michael's commanding officer arrived, authorization documents in hand. "Rodriguez told me about you," the officer explained. "He listed you as emergency contact before deployment. He trusted you would be here if anything happened." That night, the Thompson-Rodriguez children demonstrated remarkable resilience. Emma organized a homework station in the hospital waiting room. Sophie calculated medication dosages and explained Tyler's injury to her younger siblings. Sam brought Tyler's favorite protein shakes. Olivia and Max created get-well cards. They functioned not as two separate families thrown together, but as a unified team during crisis. Ms. Carter, the school counselor who had supported the children through peer pressure and adjustment difficulties, arrived with dinner. "Your family is teaching the entire school about what strength really means," she told Jason quietly. "The kids who used to whisper about your unusual family are now seeing something many of them lack: unconditional support." Pastor James from the Progressive Local Church visited too, bringing not only prayers but practical advice about Jason's legal battle with David. "Family isn't defined by courts," he counseled, "but we'll make sure they understand what real nurturing looks like." When Tyler regained consciousness, his first confused question was for Jason, not Michael. Later, with the younger children asleep across waiting room chairs, Tyler confessed his deepest fear. "After Dad died, I swore I wouldn't let anyone else close enough to leave me," he whispered. "But when I fell today, I was scared, and I wanted you there." Michael returned 3 days later, exhausted and terrified. Finding his family not fractured by his absence but strengthened left him speechless. He found Jason asleep in the uncomfortable hospital chair, one hand still holding Tyler's. In that moment, Michael saw not a temporary relationship but a lifetime partner. Recovery became a family project. Jason moved his graphic design work to the hospital, so Tyler never woke alone. The younger children created a chore chart without being asked. Michael navigated military bureaucracy to secure family medical leave. Even the neighbors who had once seemed judgmental began dropping off meals and offering rides for the other children. During this time, Emma suggested starting a podcast about their experiences. Modern American Family began as therapy, but grew into an online community of blended, non-traditional families sharing challenges and triumphs. Their honest discussions about military life, adoption, and LGBTQ+ parenting connected them with thousands of similar families seeking representation and understanding. The crisis that could have shattered their fragile beginning instead cemented their foundation. True family emerges most clearly not during celebrations, but in the trenches of hardship, where love becomes action rather than just sentiment. Spring brought renewal to the Thompson-Rodriguez family in ways that extended beyond the Virginia Beach cherry blossoms. The courthouse steps became the backdrop for their most public victory when the judge ruled in Jason's favor, maintaining his full custody of Emma despite David's sudden legal interest. The community they had built surrounded them. Michael's SEAL team in formal dress uniforms, Ms. Carter with handmade signs, Pastor James who had provided character testimony, and neighbors whose minds had opened alongside their hearts. Michael received transfer orders to the training division, a position that kept him home while honoring his commitment to service. The Veterans Housing Assistance Program helped them secure a sprawling beachfront home with enough bedrooms for their unique constellation of personalities, and the therapy dog that had become Tyler's companion during recovery. The first anniversary of their cafe meeting coincided with Veterans Day. They marked the occasion by hosting a neighborhood gathering that bridged civilian and military communities. Under twinkling lights strung across their new backyard, 7 members of the Thompson Rodriguez family shared their journey with those who had witnessed its evolution. "We never planned this," Michael told their guests, his arm around Jason's shoulders. But the best missions often come from adapting to unexpected circumstances. School events now featured the children competing under their hyphenated family name. Sophie's science project on cellular regeneration won state recognition. Sam made varsity baseball as a freshman. Olivia overcame her shyness to join the drama club, wearing her father Miguel's dog tags for courage during performances. Max and Emma collaborated on art projects that blended their different styles. Tyler received college recruitment letters, his essay about finding family after loss catching the attention of admissions officers. The legal matter of marriage arose not from romance but practicality. Ensuring parental rights across all 6 children required documentation of their commitment. Their ceremony on the beach included not just vows between partners, but promises to each child, acknowledging the unique paths that had brought them together and the journey still ahead. The traditional American backyard BBQ became their signature gathering, a symbol of their blended heritage and values. Around picnic tables laden with both Miguel's family recipes and Jason's Midwestern comfort food, they created a space where military families, LGBTQ+ parents, blended households, and traditional neighbors found common ground and shared community. In America, Michael reflected during one such gathering, watching their children that play volleyball with friends. Family isn't about bloodlines, gender, or tradition. It's about the safe harbor we build together through love and sacrifice. Jason squeezed his hand, remembering that rainy day when he almost walked out of a cafe because love arrived in a package he hadn't expected. Sometimes life's greatest blessings come wrapped in challenges that test our courage to receive them. What unexpected form has love taken in your life? Have you ever found family in places you never thought to look? Share your story in the comments below and subscribe to Heart Stories for more real journeys that remind us how love transforms when we're brave enough to recognize it, even when it doesn't match our expectations.